when I was in college. And when we kissed for the first time, it turned out to be a bit of a disaster. I was 18 when we met, and I remember our first kiss so clearly. I mean, who doesn't remember their first kiss, right? Well, for me, it was amazing. The moment I'd been waiting for, and yet something weird happened. We were at the cinema, sitting in the back row. Pretty cliche, I know. She reached out and held my hand, and suddenly I smelled something amazing. I realized it was coming from my girlfriend, and I couldn't resist reaching out and kissing her. The scent was driving me crazy. She must have been wearing a new perfume, as I'd never smelled it before. It was coming from her neck, so I moved my lips to her ears and neck and kept giving her kisses. I don't think we actually watched the movie at all. We just kissed the whole time. When we came out into the light, my girlfriend screamed. I asked her what was wrong, and she just pointed at my face in horror. And then I felt it. My lips felt strange. I brought my hands up to touch them and realized something was wrong. They were huge and swollen. They'd been tingling the whole way through the movie, but I thought maybe that was what kissing felt like. I ran to the bathroom and couldn't believe what I was seeing. It wasn't just my lips that were swollen. All around my mouth there was a rash and it was spreading down to my neck. I'd never had anything like this before. It must have been the popcorn. That was my first thought. I ran back out to my girlfriend and told her, and then she did something totally unexpected. She went up to the refreshment stand and started shouting at the guy saying the popcorn must have been poisoned or something. Suddenly, everyone in the queue to buy popcorn started walking away in disgust, and a few people even gasped when they saw my face. My girlfriend hadn't eaten the popcorn, so she was fine. I couldn't believe how itchy I felt, but it didn't make sense. I'd eaten the popcorn loads of times before and always been fine. It had to be something else. But what? I dropped my girlfriend at her dorm and went back to my place. I was itching like crazy. My dorm mate saw me and said, "Dude, what happened to you? Looks like you had an allergic reaction." I ran to the mirror and realized it was spreading. Was I really allergic to something? The next day, my girlfriend had planned a picnic by the river, but it was raining, so we decided to have the picnic in my dorm room. The rash had gone down a bit, but my lips still looked swollen. I told her I felt fine now, and she made a joke about how she hadn't made popcorn. Pretty soon we were kissing, and then I smelled that irresistible scent again, and one thing led to another, and we did it for the first time. But suddenly I felt like my whole body was burning and tingling, and not with passion. I jumped up and started rubbing my back against the wall. Anything to make the itching go away. My girlfriend was panicking, and then she started crying. "What if you're allergic to me?" she said. I hadn't even thought about that. I'd never kissed anyone else before, so maybe I really was allergic to girls. But looking at her standing there crying, I couldn't help it. I ran over to her and hugged her. I took her by the hands and said we'd figure this out. And then to my horror, my hands started to swell up and get really itchy. Then the same rash on my face appeared on my hands. My girlfriend let go when she noticed. "I can't do this anymore. I feel too guilty. Every time you touch me, you come out in a rash." Then she was gone. She'd broken up with me and I felt terrible. I sat there itching and scratching and decided I needed to go see a doctor. The doctor saw me and told me it looked like I was having a bad allergic reaction to something. She asked if I'd been in contact with any pollen or medication, and I told her the only thing I'd been in contact with was my girlfriend, who was now my ex-girlfriend. Then the doctor laughed and asked me to check if my ex was maybe using a cosmetic that I might be allergic to. Then she made a joke about how all ex-girlfriends and boyfriends can be like an allergy. She gave me a cream to use on my rash. I covered myself in it and instantly felt better. After a few days, the rash had gone down, and I wondered, could it really be something my girlfriend used? Her makeup or shampoo? I missed her so much, so I went over to her dorm to tell her about what the doctor had said. She asked me to sit down, and then she confessed. She'd wanted to find a way to impress and seduce me but couldn't think of anything. Then her dorm mate had introduced her to a very special perfume. She bought it from a woman who made it herself, so it had no brand, but it had a very seductive scent that would make men unable to resist a woman. Her friend had used it to find a boyfriend, and now she was engaged. So she bought the perfume straight away and couldn't wait to see if it worked. Now she felt terrible because the perfume had clearly worked, but I was obviously allergic to it. She felt so guilty she started crying. I asked her if she was wearing the perfume right now, and she said no. So I immediately ran over to her and gave her the biggest, most passionate kiss ever. Then afterwards I ran to the mirror, and my face looked normal. No itchiness and no swollen lips. So it was the perfume after all. What a relief to know we could keep dating. We threw the perfume away and then we decided to go to the movies again. I mean, we should probably apologize to the popcorn guy, right? Do you think it was the perfume that seduced me? Or just my